This is Aaron Rice with Concierge, and I'm here with my good friend Harris. Go ahead and tell people kind of who you are, what you do, and what we're looking at.
Yeah, so I am a modular designer and builder. I've been at this business for about 21 years. Yeah, just past 21 years, August 8th. My first project as a disgruntled banker in my past life was to buy a fixer-upper in 2005. Turned out the house that I bought with a then partner was so dilapidated it needed to come down and be rebuilt. And in so doing, trying to research how to rebuild a home from the ground up, I stumbled onto modular. And the rest is history. I've got, again, 21 years of experience. I'm on the board of directors of the Modular Homebuilders Association. My focus is primarily on consulting for residential. We're looking to get deeper into multifamily. But right now in 2025, we have seen a big shift in our market for additions. And that's what I think we're looking at on screen right here.
Absolutely, and you're Maryland based, correct?
Yes, Maryland based. I work hand in hand with PureBuilt, who's our general contracting wing. Sam and I have combined probably 55 years of experience. But again, my expertise is on the design side. And I'm also a master certified green professional with NAHB. I'm a real, I consider myself not just a wonk, but a nerd of high performance construction.
Awesome, and that's the National Association of Home Builders for those that aren't familiar with some of the acronyms. But so you mentioned modular at the very beginning, and I know this industry there's a lot of terms that can often get confusing. There's modular, prefabbed, off-site construction, industrialized construction, manufactured homes. How do you help the consumer understand the differences between them and what you do as a solution?
Yeah, so it depends on who you're talking to. At least once a week, every other week, we get a call for a mobile home or a trailer home, aka manufactured home, industrialized, built home. And because the confusion persists, right? HUD-coded mobile homes, manufactured homes, are built off-site. Modular homes are built off-site. And so what we generally need to do is just to get into the weeds with the potential client and ask them, how did you hear about us? Oh, well, I just Googled prefab, for example. And then we go from there. But you're right. The general overarching term that seems to be getting traction is off-site construction. And off-site construction would be panelized, volumetric modular, with which we focus on. And then the Building Systems Council of the National Association of Home Builders, that's another term right there, systems building. They also include log homes and precast concrete homes and their association, their council, because they are typically built off-site.
And I think the term industrialized construction is more of a European term that they use to describe what they do out that way.
You're right. You're right, Aaron. And regulators tend to adopt that term as well. For example, in the state of Maryland, the division within the Building Codes Administration is called the Industrialized Buildings Department. So they refer to modular homes as industrialized buildings. And that's just part of their vernacular.
And then you've got accessory dwelling units as well, ADUs.
Mm-hmm.
How common are those?
Well, that is a type of dwelling and not necessarily a method of construction. But no, ADUs have been coming on strong since the pandemic. As we all know, during COVID, during the lockdown, up to 3 generations of folks were on top of each other for a while. And it precipitated a huge demand for accessory dwelling units on their lots. They had to expand. you'll recall the surge in, I think, 21 or 22 of home sales. Valuations, appraised values skyrocketed because people were trying to move up to the next larger home. Well, there are a lot of people out there, and we're hearing from them, that liked where they lived. They liked their schools. They liked their commute, their neighbors, their church, and they wanted to expand where they lived. And that really began the push to all counties and county executives for the right to build an accessory dwelling on their property.
And so that's a little bit different than what this homeowner decided to do. This homeowner wanted to add an addition, and so they added two. I guess you define them as panelized volumetric modules. Do I have that terminology correct?
The last two words, volumetric modular. So panelized would be, Aaron, the panels are prefabbed and then brought in big sections of wall, for example, and then craned into place, but with no finish, just plywood, OSB, and studs.
And that's what we would know, like Blueprint Robotics here in Baltimore, to do more panelized construction.
Yeah, exactly. But they also include more trades inside their walls. I believe they do wiring and receptacles and some plumbing. Yeah. So, and a tip of the hat to One Precision Assemblies, Certainty, owned by Saint-Gobain, big European conglomerate. Excuse me. They've come out with a panelized product that also has finishes on the outside, the siding, the windows, and the trim, and insulation. So they're ready for finish on the inside. Yeah. So panelization is actually more popular, according to an article I read yesterday, than modular right now.
Is that because of ease of transport or something different?
Yeah, ease of transport, and because it's easier to understand. Construction in the U.S. is so conservative and so outdated. I mean, we're still throwing piles of lumber in a yard and stick building buildings. Yeah, there's been so little innovation. And you brought up Europe earlier. Yeah, Europe and Asia. They look at us and say, when are they going to stop throwing lumber in a yard and stick building their homes? But the construction industry is very risk averse. It's always about risk aversion. And when it gets really, really difficult to get a permit to build something, you don't want to try something new.
Right.
You've spent all of your effort getting funding, lot acquisition, developing, bringing sewer and water. It's a tough gamble for a production builder or developer. The last thing they want to do is try something new. And panelization is just a step towards something new. It's not like completely or mostly finished volumetric modular sections of homes.
I often define our industry as the least digitized, declining in productivity, and had a strong resistance to change, which makes being on site and filming what you did a couple of weeks ago in Ellicott City, Maryland, that much more innovative and that much more exciting. I've been a real estate practitioner for 25 years, and I've never seen this process before. Well, I've seen it on YouTube, but the only time I've seen it in person were on jobs that you were involved with. And thank you for allowing me to come out and film. But this, I thought, was just a very innovative way to do it, because what I like about this process is that these modules are coming to the site, 85% complete for the most part, right? Or would you define it as something different than that?
Yeah, it depends on whether you're rating that percentage by weight or by cost. So in the modular world, most of the non-trades related work is done, 85 to 90%, meaning, actually, it's sort of a crossover. I don't think anybody can really put a number on it, and here's why. When I say trades, I'm referring to, in Maryland in particular, fire sprinkler, one. HVAC systems are wholly provided on site, not by the factory. 3, electric, and 4, plumbing. So of those 4 trades, I would say fire sprinklers, 0 is furnished by our factory. Okay. HVAC, our factory does provide the exhaust fans and kitchen range hoods. That's considered under the HVAC umbrella. Plumbing, a lot more is completed. Toilets are set in the wax rings, shut-off valve underneath the tank, kitchen countertops with the faucet on top and the sinks installed and the trap underneath the sink. So a much higher level of plumbing is complete. Same with the electric. We've got receptacles, switches, pendant lights, recessed can lights, chandeliers, Cat 6 and even Cat 7 Ethernet cabling, low voltage wiring for doorbells and thermostats. So, yeah, that's my long-winded answer to they are mostly done. We just simply need to do the heavy lifting when the boxes are set, and that is bring all the wires together to bring to the electric service panel, tie all the plumbing together down in the basement, and HVAC either goes in the basement or up in the attic as long as we can heavily insulate it. So, but you're right, it's a lot less work on site.
Yeah, which makes the project finish a lot quicker than some of the panelized jobs that I've seen throughout the region were set in fall of last year, but still are not complete, which is unfortunate. So one of the things we're looking at on the screen is we're looking at the crane there for a second because I was filming like, okay, what's taking so long for the modules to go up, but apparently there was not enough weight on the cranes because these modules were close to what, 40 tons each.
Well, not 40 tons, that would be 80,000 pounds. But yeah, the heaviest one I recall was 33,000 pounds on the back of the house.
Okay.
And so you can see a large wrecker, which the police and fire use to pull semis out of highway ditches.
Yep.
We use wreckers like that to move the modules around. In this case, this is the 33,000 pound section of the second floor that's going to go up first.
I meant to say pounds, not tons. I apologize.
Yep. That's okay. That's all right. 80 isn't too far off 35, okay. 33, 80,000. But yeah, we had, so one of the most difficult parts about modular construction is planning, because obviously a 16-foot wide, 62-foot long piece of building material is a much greater lift than craning trusses in a stick-built environment. Or even panelized panels for a panelized home. So in the example here, the crane during a meeting the week before, they had miscalced on the size of crane and the reach. And so, yeah, there was a delay while they brought in a second tractor trailer and loaded up that crane you see right there. Fully loaded, it weighed almost 250,000 pounds.
Wow.
Yep, and that's why you can see some ruts on the grass. So modular, here's one of the pratfalls of modular. It's everything about it is big and heavy and dangerous. So the old adage, measure twice, cut once, is now measure 10 times, cut once, because you can't miss.
Right.
And here we had the delay. We had to pay our set crew a little bit more. We had to pay the wrecker a little bit more and ourselves a little bit more, waiting for the crane to get set up. But alas, that house went from a 1-story to a 2-story by nightfall. 4 more bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, including a master suite and a laundry room. And every bedroom has a walk-in closet. Went on top of the client's first floor. And like I said, closed in, meaning we completed the shingling on the top of that roof you see there, and put house wrap over the open seams so that they were closed in, weathered in by nightfall. And so the interesting part about it, well, there's a lot of interesting parts of volumetric modular, but is the crowd that it draws.
Yeah.
That you were there. There were people on chaise lounges and camp chairs and whatnot, eating their buckets of chicken while watching this go down. It is an attention getter. We're blocking off the road, as you can see, for 5 or 10 minutes at a time. But the one thing that we will always remind the neighbors, pardon our disruption, but at least you will not be listening to saws and nail guns for 3 weeks of framing. It's just going to be 4 or 5 hours of pain, and then we're out of your hair.
No roof nail pops in your tires either. Which is a big deal on any construction site I go to. I'm always guaranteed to get a nail pop.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Every good contractor drives around with the nail plug kit in his glove box.
Right, right. So,
So,
so it literally seemed like once, once the crane was heavied up and once the tractor kind of pulled the module up and you got everything rolling, it seemed to be set uh
mm,
in about an hour to 90 minutes. And then like you said, it was literally under roof same day, which I thought was amazing. I've been with some other clients who are looking at, convention stick built homes and you've got one, we've had a lot of rain here in Maryland in July.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we went into a finished home and overlooked the framing, the basement framing cement set of the home next door, and it was had to be 2 or 3 inches of water just resting in the bottom of that foundation. That eventually will air dry, but it won't be all the way dry. And there's just a fear of mold spread and just how unhealthy that scenario could be, where something like this is under roof in such a short amount of time. So it
Yeah.
takes a lot of timing with weather so that you're not, so that you can almost guarantee there's not going to be any kind of major water intrusion when you do these types of things. How important is that
Mhm.
to the homeowners and to the systems that you're using?
Yeah, it's really important. I'm reminded of COVID again.
Mm,
It brought to light indoor air quality, right?
yeah. Mhm.
And our clients don't want waterborne mold, spores springing up everywhere. And so this 33,000 pound hunk of home going up, excuse me, it was all built indoors where it's
Right.
dry and sunny and 68 degrees 365 days a year.
That's right.
So there's nothing moist in this thing.
Mm,
And what we didn't see on this video, I don't believe, was the 10 mil vinyl wrap over the thing. So
hmm
even if there was a thunderstorm on delivery, it stayed dry.
hmm hmm
Um, in the case of second floors, like this partial second floor currently going on,
hmm
if you were to stick build this, and I'll bring your memory back to the beginning of the video where there were workers on top,
hmm
taking apart the truss from the original rancher.
hmm
Um, they would have to tarp that house for at least 2 months. So here we've removed the truss, the roof, the attic over the course of 2 days and only had to tarp it over a couple of days.
hmm
And then last minute, our guys are removing that last 2x4 from up there and we're craning the second floor on. The owners never had to move out. That's
Right.
unheard of.
hmm
Some of the jobs that we've taken away from conventional stick building contractors
hmm
were born of the discovery from owners that they would have to move out
hmm
or that it would be noisy
hmm
and just really horrible living conditions. I wouldn't be surprised if stick builders that do second floors have in their contract a provision for Airbnbs for a week or
hmm
two,
hmm
just for the family to leave. Here, the family's in the side yard. They had to leave for 4 hours
Yep.
instead of 4 days or 4 weeks while they
Mhm.
watched a new second floor go on. And they
That's a really
went
big
to
deal.
sleep in their bedrooms. Yeah.
That's a
Now,
really
I
big deal.
will admit, as we're taking the roof off, some of our guys put a foot amiss in the attic and they put a foot through the ceiling drywall down below. But that's part of the fog of war when
hmm
we're trying to limit the disruption of them moving out,
hmm
move quickly to remove the roof so they don't have to move out. And so moving quickly, if we put a foot through the ceiling drywall, we're already there patching up the modules. There's drywall work to do where the
hmm
modules come together.
hmm
We just
hmm
go downstairs and we do that drywall work there as well.
hmm
Not to
Well,
mention, we have to destroy a good footprint of their first floor. Why? For a new staircase. There was no staircase there for a second floor because there was no second floor. So
right.
we're already in there doing some of this drywall and carpentry work. So for us, it's a cost we can easily bear to fix some of the holes from guys putting a foot through
Well,
because we need to get the work done.
well, as we work through kind of documenting this process, and I can't thank you enough for allowing me to come on site and document this because I think it's
Sure.
number one, extremely fascinating. And I think the average homeowner just has not really experienced, the average real estate practitioner has not experienced this form of construction because it is so innovative. So I'm excited about the potential of being able to really document existing condition, kind of a real before and after
Yeah.
existing conditions, and then what it looks like on the back end. So that's always great. But the level of skill that you have with this crew, talk about the expertise that's on site. I mean, it just this
Mm.
runs like a it appears to me to run like a well-oiled machine. Maybe I don't know if you feel that way, but it appears that way on my end.
Yeah, aside from the hiccup on Works, and you can see their logo in the corner. Oh, not anymore. They have a lot of expertise with modular. Now, these large crane companies, they also do these 20-ton chillers on top of commercial buildings. They replace light bulbs on super high radio towers.
Mm,
But these guys know how to load level and clear trees in yards for the placement of these large volumetric modules. Um, the set crew. So we've got in our view a guy up on the roof with an orange shirt. He's pointing down with his hand. He's giving a message to the crane operator, slowly move the module down. And he is the super of set crew that we've been using for years. Excuse me. Milt, along with four other men, have been erecting modular homes all up and down the eastern seaboard. They have the chops. So they really start out as framers, stick-built framers.
mm-hmm.
That is the core competency that provides the fundamentals or the basis of a good set crew. Understanding how to drill through the wood and set those cables. So you've got three cables going through 6 points to lift up that 33,000 pounds. They know exactly where to put them.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to level the load by adjusting the cables. They know how to communicate with the crane operator. And before all that happens, they know how to, almost getting dizzy here or panning around. Yeah, they know how to prepare the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And now in this case, the foundation is a home.
Right.
But if we're doing brand new construction, they are down inside our basement, erecting the steel beam across the basement, erecting the steel pipe lally columns that go up and down before the modules go on top of that basement opening. So they're responsible for erecting the steel too. So they are hard to find. Once you find a set crew, if you don't pay them quickly, you'll never get them to return your call again. But they're where the rubber meets the road. They make us look great, the crane and the set crew. We just do the prep. We talk through all the logistics. We knock on the neighbors' doors and let them know you won't be able to get out of your driveway for 10 minutes at a time. And we sit back and watch them make us look good.
So that's interesting because I've always thought that you were the set crew.
Now, general contractors, we have a lot of subcontractors. Yeah.
Got it.
And it's a very, very unusual vocation.
Mm-hmm.
You call around to any insurance agent or broker in Maryland, they'll go, "You do what?" The mod industry, as you know by now, is historically centralized in Central PA.
Right.
That's sort of the birth of American modular up there. And the set crews sort of came forth from them too, from that area.
Why is that? Why Pennsylvania?
I don't know the full history. I do know that back in the 80s, the manufacturers of trailer homes, mobile homes, manufactured, they weren't even called manufactured back then, but they realized that in their plants, they were tooling up for 12-foot or 14-foot wide mobile homes. They could use the same jigs, the same human resources to do code built modular. And so they realized that they could double dip. With very little capital investment or human resource investment, training. Now, mobile homes in the 80s didn't have gypsum drywall. They had some sort of funky laminate panel. Their walls are 2x3 as opposed to our code, 2x4, 2x6, but it was the same essential infrastructure that was needed to make modular. Now, Why didn't it start in the South? Because that's where the predominance of mobile homes, HUD manufactured homes are. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but it seems to be a big set, concentration north of Harrisburg
Hmm.
of custom modular manufacturers that
Hmm.
also do multifamily and small
Hmm.
commercial.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Yeah, I visited a couple of factories up in Pittsburgh and one in Delaware. It's really
oh yeah,
fascinating to see them built in the factory and then to actually come out on site to see it actually set is fascinating as well.
yeah.
So you said these are some odd 33,000 some odd pounds.
Mhm.
Does like a structural engineer need to come out and make sure that these homes can carry that weight without sinking in the ground? How does that all work?
Sure, sure. That's a great question. So, some counties require certification of the foundations. For whatever reason, Howard County did.
Hmm.
And this example that we're looking at is in Howard County.
Hmm.
Howard County is a wealthy county. They're heavily regulated, like Montgomery and PG and Anne Arundel.
Hmm.
Um, I happened to be speaking with the plans reviewer, and he had a couple of questions, and I addressed them. And he said, "What year was this rancher built?" I said, "1969." And the cinder block basement walls are not 8 or 10 inch; they're 16 inches thick.
Hmm.
He just chuckled, Aaron, and said, "Yeah, you don't need to show me the footings. That'll be fine."
Hmm.
So it was a judgment call by the county plan reviewers.
Hmm.
And Montgomery County, they are typically looking for us to go in the side yard, and a couple of our guys on a spade shovel dig up and reveal the concrete footings at the bottom of the
Hmm.
house.
Hmm.
And if they prove to be what most experts expect, and that is 16-inch wide by 8-inch high concrete footings, which was typical for a lot of these post WW2 bedroom communities. They were
Hmm.
built real stout, late
Hmm.
40s, 50s,
Hmm.
60s,
Hmm.
as Washington, D.C. and Baltimore suburbs were blowing up.
Hmm.
We would take photographs, we'd provide to a structural engineer, he'd affix a seal on the letter, and we submit it to the county and say, "Yep, you're fine."
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, there is another nuance. In the modular world, our load bearing is different from stick building. There's something called the marriage line where two modules come together, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
There's a load in this middle. It's not just loads on the outsides, the
Hmm.
load is also in the middle.
Hmm.
So when we first talk to a client, we immediately go inside their house. And what are we looking for? We're looking for that hallway wall that runs right down the middle of that rancher.
Hmm.
And if it's somewhere close to the middle, we know that that hallway wall is going to be our bearing for the modules to go on top
Right.
and bear on that hallway wall. What's
Hmm.
underneath the hallway wall? We go down to the basement, we see that classic W8 steel beam.
Right.
So now we have vertical load transfer.
Hmm.
And so we know the outside walls are almost always fine. The
Hmm.
perimeter of the house is going to be 2x4, 2x6 walls going back to the 40s.
Hmm.
It's the middle.
Hmm.
And 9 times out of 10, we're finding that these 40s, 50s, 60s ramblers have that center hallway
Hmm.
wall for us to bear on. And then right underneath that in the basement ceiling is that W8 steel beam on steel lally columns for us to bear on.
Hmm.
And so we know 9 times out of 10 that we can do modular on top of that house as opposed to stick.
Hmm.
Because in a stick environment, you can actually use engineered floor trusses that can span the 28 feet that this house is
Hmm.
with no bearing in the middle. They
Hmm.
can go from outside wall to outside wall, 28.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, we have two modules making up 14 and 14. There's
Hmm.
load in the middle. And so
I
we
would
can
I
pick
would
it up.
think that I would think that this would also provide a better soundproofing than if it
You know,
was stick built as well. Is that a selling feature, or is that something that am I imagining that on?
yeah. No, no, that's exactly the case. And in fact, that's how two-story modular homes go.
Hmm.
We're looking at the floor of the modules.
Right.
Those are all 2x10s, in some
Hmm.
cases, some floor trusses for plumbing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, if this was a two-story home, uh, we would have literally a ceiling and a floor come together with an interstitial space.
Right.
So in this case, you couldn't see it from your aerial drone footage, but looking down, when we took the truss, the rafters, the attic lumber off of this house,
Mm-hmm.
what remained was 2x4s that made up the attic floor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we weren't going to stack our modular home right on top of the 2x4s.
Mm-hmm.
We built up sill plates for a 4.5 inch space.
Mm-hmm.
And then our 2x10 floor assembly bears on that. So
Mm-hmm.
literally we have a 4.5 inch dead air space with
Mm-hmm.
no physical continuity. There's
Mm-hmm.
no sound conduction through any
Mm-hmm.
members except in
Mm-hmm.
the middle and on the outside walls. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the kids can jump up and down upstairs and not mess up dinner down below in most
Right.
cases
Right.
because that joist is no longer the floor for the second floor and the
Mm-hmm.
ceiling for the first floor.
Right.
It's two separate members.
That's right.
So
That's
I
right.
hope that helps.
No, it does. It does. That's what I've always heard about volumetric modulars, that added benefit. So talk to me a little bit about kind of zoning permitting. I've
Hmm.
visited some modular sites where they've been set for 6, 8 months, and they're fighting with zoning
Hmm.
in particular jurisdictions. Because I know a lot of times in these factories, even though they're out of state, they come to site with a Maryland stamp, meaning a statewide inspector has inspected them. But then you've got local county ordinances. How is all
Hmm.
that working? Have you managed to kind of solve a lot of the challenges so that you're not kind of sitting waiting for an inspector to want to open up walls like some of
Right.
these other projects?
Yeah, knock on wood, we've never had major problems. We've never had a job sit. So back in '05, I was doe-eyed. And my first build was in the city of Annapolis.
I'm
So
sorry, you were what?
I was doe-eyed. I was naive.
Oh, doe wide. Okay.
Doe-eyed. Yeah,
Doe-eyed.
yeah.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
just Bambi,
Okay.
with a deer in the headlights, right? And I remember it was Annapolis City, not Anne Arundel County, but the city of Annapolis has their own permitting jurisdiction, and they were fine with it. All right. The what the system has worked all the kinks out such that I don't know of any county in Maryland that would not accept these state approved industrialized buildings.
Hmm.
Because when the manufacturer's engineering departments, when they're code reviewing the project, they're going to look at the state, they're going to look at the
Hmm.
county,
Hmm.
and they're going to realize, okay, well, Howard County, Maryland is adhering to IRC 2021. Okay,
Hmm.
we have to make sure our smoke detectors also have carbon dioxide and this, that, and the other, right? Um, and if there are any amendments adopted by that jurisdiction, if it's Annapolis City, the city of Rockville, Montgomery County, Anne Arundel County, whoever, they usually will vet that as well. So, but when it comes to the jurisdiction having authority, the JHA, it's the both the local and the state. It's sort of a hybrid.
Hmm.
And this is where some confusion has come into play on our job sites, particularly with a rookie building inspector.
Hmm.
So I'll give you an example. Our plumber was getting his plumbing inspection in Howard County. It was
Hmm.
2014, 2015. And this particular kitchen had a kitchen island. And the island wasn't up against a wall. It was obviously an island, right? Well, if you know anything about sinks, this island had a vegetable sink. The drains need to be vented.
Hmm.
So basic plumbing, every drain requires a vent. Well, because this island is landlocked, there's no exterior wall on it. It's very hard to run a vent up into the
Hmm.
attic from the island.
Right.
Well, the state of Maryland approves something called a Studer valve, a pop valve, and it replaces the need for a vent, and it goes right on the trap under the sink.
Hmm.
Plumbing inspector comes in and tells Chuck, wait a second, you got a Studer valve underneath this vegetable sink on the island. You can't have that here. And Chuck said, well, this is a modular building that came with the modular home, sir.
Hmm.
One thing led to another. Chuck gave me a call. I ended up calling the chief building inspector and let him know, Fred Jones tried to decline our use of the Studer valve. It's already been approved by the state of Maryland.
Hmm.
The chief inspector for Howard County said, "You're right. You're right. He was a rookie. He's new. He doesn't quite understand modular. That's fine. You're approved."
Hmm.
So that was the only drama I can recall, because the counties understand that Maryland has jurisdiction of the prefab volumetric modules.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
do get to touch anything that we glue on or nail on or fasten on.
After.
Exactly, exactly. So, for example, this modular second floor you can see doesn't have a second floor to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
The factory didn't make the second floor. They're not going to make it for us. I'm sorry, second floor. The staircase, because they don't know how high that staircase has to rise run to go from the original house through the original ceiling to the second
Hmm.
floor.
Hmm.
Um, the local jurisdictions, the Howard County building inspectors are going to inspect our stair that it complies with rise run because it touches our module, but we did it on site. It's their purview, not the state. Um, Once we pull all the wires down from the 4 bedrooms and bathrooms and laundry room upstairs,
Hmm.
through a chase to the basement, those wires are modular, but not where they go in an electric panel. That's a local inspection for the proper breaker size, GFI, and so forth. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
but I have heard horror stories about rural areas or HOAs or strict covenant
Hmm.
encumbered neighborhoods
Hmm.
saying, NIMBY, not my
Hmm.
backyard. That's a
Right.
modular thingy. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Um, and Michigan Supreme Court about 8 or 10 years ago set a precedence. There's a long battle from, I'll just politely call a Karen in the
Hmm.
community that didn't like the house, even though it was gorgeous. Just the fact that it was modular. Karen went all the way from district court to Supreme Court in Michigan, and she lost. The house
Wow.
got to stay
Mm.
because it's a code built home. It's
Right.
the same 2x6s, the same drywall, the
Right.
same sheathing, the same Kohler toilets, the same Moen faucets. I mean,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it walks like a duck. It is a duck. So,
But that Karen sounds like the type that would buy her car as it was being assembled in the driveway, as opposed to in a factory.
well said. Touche. Yeah. And
But
Henry Ford resolved that about a century and a quarter ago. Yeah.
exactly. Hey, I've got more questions than time, unfortunately. But one
Sure.
question I do want to ask.
Hmm.
The homeowner had choices. I think his name was Kevin, right?
That's right.
He nice, very nice guy. Nice family,
Yeah.
beautiful family. I think from what I in my conversation with him, a few things were very important. Number one, that is they've been here for some years, a decade or so, and they love the
Mm.
community and they wanted to stay in the community. The kids have made friends in the community, want to keep the kids in the community in the local schools. They've got a great interest rate, all those things, and it's an established community, but homeowners have choices in regards to how they want to do this. What
Mm.
what was probably the one thing that kind of convinced him that this was the way to go? Because it is a very innovative way to go. I mean, I don't know how many modular sets he'd visited, or I'm sure he did research online, but it's a very innovative way to go. What do you think convinced him that he should go this route, which I think is an amazing choice to make?
Yeah, so it's been a while since I met Kevin, last late fall around Thanksgiving or so.
Hmm.
But if I recall correctly, it was based on his experience in construction. So as he was going through college, he was one of the guys that had a construction job summers.
Hmm.
Incidentally, he's also an ice hockey player, so
Okay.
he's a bit of a brawler.
Mhm.
But
That's
not that
amazing.
that has any bearing on construction methods, but he did do the research.
Hmm.
He probably recognized as a contractor that it could get kind of messy,
Hmm.
with stick building.
Hmm.
And he came to us, with a clean sheet, no plan from an architect, hadn't dropped 5, 10, $15,000. He was
Hmm.
ready to start from scratch on a pure play modular design when he found us.
Hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, with our profit and overhead added, this project ended up being $173 a square foot.
Wow.
Um, yep, and that's with crown moldings, Craftsman 2 panel doors, oil rub bronze, plumbing, fixtures, faucets, oil rub bronze Schlage levers, with matching oil rub bronze hinges on the doors. Everything's tight. Everything's matching. Had carpet in the bedrooms. We're doing luxury vinyl plank and the rest. A, a electric tankless water heater to provide a boost on the water coming up from the basement. Hey,
Mhm.
you got to keep that in mind. We're now 40 feet away from the water heater and they don't want to wait on hot water. So everything was thought out substantially.
Mhm.
R21 on the walls. I guess I could go on and on and on, but I would classify it as not a builder grade project, but a move up project. We
Mhm.
don't do much builder grade.
Mhm.
Everything we do is a move up. It's oil rub bronze instead of chrome. It's
Yeah, I move up
R21.
without having to move out, which
Yeah,
which is
that's a
just so
great
innovative.
tagline. I may pay you a royalty for that one.
Please do.
Mm, mm.
No, this is amazing
So
stuff. Then,
yeah.
I guess the very last question I have is when it comes to workforce development, are you finding that finding experienced trades is one of your biggest challenges, or do you feel as though, because I mean this seems like a tight crew of 8, 10 folks, and then I think in the factories that I visited, they've got another 10, 12, 15, 20 people building these homes.
Mm.
Where is the need for workforce in this sector?
Um, well, we're exposed to the labor pressures like stick builders in terms of the four trades, right?
Mhm.
Fire, sprinkler, HVAC, plumbing, electric.
Mhm.
We use the same guys that conventional contractors use.
Mhm.
They just have 30 to 40% of the scope of work. It's 60 to 70 is already done by the factory. Um, Being on the board of directors at Modular Home Builders Association, I hear all the time from factory owners their plight,
Mhm.
getting guys to come in. However, they have it a little bit easier because if you're a framer working in a modular plant, if you're an electrician, if you're a drywall hanger, if you're a painter, you don't have to drive anywhere. You're not going to job sites where it's 105 degrees feels like, or it's raining,
Mhm.
traffic.
Mhm.
They don't have to have a van. They don't have to have general liability insurance. They don't need this, because they're
Not falling
going
off the
into a
roof,
plant.
right? Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't even have to bring tools in. They go and they punch a time card
Mhm.
into an indoor environment, like I said, where it's 72 and sunny year round.
Mhm.
They do their job and they punch out.
Mhm.
And there's none of the overhead that trades incur getting to job sites and filling out estimates. So the manufacturers have an easier situation when it comes to getting tradespeople into their plants than stick builders do to attract them onto job sites. And like I said, because so much of the work is done for us, we have a lot fewer subcontractors and tradespeople to deal with.
Mhm.
So there's that risk mitigation. We're
Mhm.
eliminating risk, and banks kind of appreciate that too on modular. Heck, if I'm a banker and I have the lien on this $300,000 loan, and I know that 150,000 of that three is borne by one supplier, the modular factory, half of
Mhm.
my risk is gone.
Mhm.
There's not going to be a lien, a
Mhm.
mechanic's lien. There's not going to be problems with no shows, this, that, and the other. The project
Mhm.
is going to be much more viable.
Mhm.
10, 15 years ago, banks were like, that's a mobile home.
Mhm.
Not going to do it. Well, the script is flipped. The banks that are in the know want modular because there's less exposure to subcontractor liens.
Right, right.
Yeah,
And the homeowner and investors like the fact that the job is done a lot quicker, cutting back on interest rates and carrying costs and those types of things as well, potentially.
that's right. Yeah.
Hey, this has been great, man. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make sure that we put up a title card that has all your contact information if folks want to reach out. Is there
Okay.
anything that I didn't ask you that you want people to know about kind of what you do and the benefits of this solution?
No, no, we didn't emphasize much on the indoor air quality or the energy efficiency. I did mention that I'm a wonk or a nerd in that regard.
Yeah,
Of course, you attended that zero energy monster, also in Ellicott City, with
yeah,
the foil-faced additional continuous foam board siding.
yeah,
Maybe on our next chat, we can get into a high performance build instead of a second floor expansion,
yeah.
ground up. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to having that conversation. I never leave home without my air quality monitors, so we're, we're monitoring
I know,
everywhere.
I know you. Yeah, good
But
on you.
yeah,
You're the pro in that regard. I can't hold a candle to you on that. So
it's all good.
anyway,
Hey, Harris, man, I appreciate your time, your thought leadership, and your subject matter expertise on the topic. Thank
sure.
you so much.
All right. Good to
All right,
see you again, Aaron,
good
and
to see you.
thanks, folks, for listening to the extent that you did.
All right, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.